Okay, I'm live. Hi guys, Jackie M. How you doing? This is one of a series of broadcasts brought to you courtesy of our new Facebook group, where you can sign up at seafoodrev.com. The Facebook group is actually called by the same name. So if you look at facebook.com/groups/seafoodrev, this is where you can get a hold of the recipe, okay, which we're going to post after this broadcast. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, my name is Jackie M. I am a Malaysian-born Sydney, Australia. I'm trying to get the microphone out of the way. Malaysian-born Sydney, Australia-based former restaurant owner. And what I do is a lot of online content, but in this particular series, as part of this project with Chef Norman Musa based in the Netherlands and Kerry Torrance, a nutritionist based in the UK, what we do is we help you to rethink Southeast Asian food so that you can actually prepare it and eat it guilt-free, okay? Hey, Melissa, how you doing? Great to see you. But make sure you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from and hit me up with any questions, okay? Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, and thanks again for your patience. We had some technical issues just earlier on, but hopefully it should run okay from now on. But yeah, what we're making today, hey Norman, how you doing? What we're doing today is essentially a fried rice, right? But I want to make it a little bit different because in Malaysia, there's this dish that I really love eating that's famous over in the East Coast. It's called Nasi Kerabu. Nasi Kerabu is made with a lot of different herbs and some ingredients, usually typically like fish and all that sort of stuff. But what we're going to do, Nasi Kerabu, we're going to actually cook Nasi Kerabu like a fried rice dish, okay? So we're going to actually throw in some fresh herbs and all that sort of stuff. And if you're part of like, if you're anything like me, right? A few months ago during the whole lockdown around the world, and I know some of you are still experiencing lockdowns in different parts of the world. Thankfully, I'm in Sydney and we didn't have to experience it for too long. But when it started, nobody knew how long it was going for. And I decided to, for the first time ever, have a crack at trying to grow my own herbs and vegetables on my balcony, all right? I don't have that big a balcony, but I thought, look, if you're going to be stuck at home and you can't really travel, how are you going to get fresh herbs and all that? Especially like even when you could travel, like, you know, there were some concerns that they might not let you travel too far out of your suburb, right? And like, and for me to pick up some of these Asian herbs, I did have to travel quite a long way out. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get my own fresh herbs and Asian vegetables. So I decided to grow on my own. And surprisingly, some of them have actually survived. I'm really terrible at growing anything, but I've managed to cultivate some herbs, and we're going to use them in this particular broadcast today. So first of all, like I said, it sounds like, hey, Yuho, how you doing? It sounds like we're going to be making fried rice, but we're going to make a healthy version because in our Facebook group, the Seafood Revolution Facebook group, there's been some active discussions about rice and whether it's good for you. Should you cut down on it, about the carbs and all that sort of stuff. So hey Inkun, how you doing? And hey Facebook user, sorry I can't see your name, but thanks for joining me anyway. And hit me up, by the way, guys, if you've got any questions during this session, okay? So the whole carb issue with rice is a little bit of a kind of like an active discussion. I thought, why not cook something using cauliflower rice? Because some of you have tried cauliflower rice, some have not. I've tried it. I've tried making it before, and I was actually really impressed with how it turned out. So instead of just doing your usual cauliflower fried rice, we're going to do cauliflower Nasi Kerabu, okay? So we're going to bring in all these different fresh herbs and some fish as well. If you actually saw my broadcast last week, I actually did a steamed fish. And you know what happened to that steamed fish? Because I essentially, everything that I cook, I have to eat on my own because my child Noah isn't that adventurous with his food at the moment. Hey Rose, so what I did with the steamed fish, last week's steamed fish, I ate some of it with rice, and the rest of it, this is what I did with it. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so that's last week's steamed fish. What I did was I minced it and then I fried it up without adding any oil. I fried it up and basically toasted it. So now we've got like shredded fish, okay, with some of the flavors from the soy sauce and that sort of stuff that went into steaming it. So we're going to actually sprinkle some of that into the fried rice. Hey Deb, how you doing? So okay, now of the herbs, what are we using? You know, in all honesty, I don't even know some of these herb names, okay, because not all of them Malaysian, but this definitely is Malaysian. This is what we grew up knowing as laksa leaves, right? Again, from my balcony. And it's what is usually sold here in Australia as Vietnamese coriander or Vietnamese mint, or even Thai mint or Thai coriander, whatever it is. But a lot of different herbs will go by, but a lot of the same herbs will go by different names depending on which part of the world you're located in. Okay, so this is a variety of basil. Okay, and then I've got a couple of different varieties of basil, and then I've got this Vietnamese herb. It's not really kind of like mature yet. This is like popular in Vietnamese pancakes. Okay, so it's kind of like, I think it's called sawtooth something or whatever. So it's got like kind of like jagged edges, right? And I've got some coriander, right? So all of this we're going to shred. And you know what? This I did not grow, but I bet a lot of you overseas Malaysians will be really jealous. This is actually fresh Bunga Kantan. Okay, this is toast ginger bud, right? And I actually bought it fresh, and it's from Darwin. I bought it from this fellow overseas Malaysian. His name is Mervyn. So if you're based in Sydney and you want some Bunga Kantan fresh, hit me up, right? And I'll send you Mervyn's contact details. He's managed to secure a supplier from Darwin who supplies these fresh. Look at the size of this, okay? So we're going to shred all this and put it in our fried Nasi Kerabu. And I've got chilies. Unfortunately, I did not grow it. I did throw some of the seeds in the garden bed. Hopefully it will grow. And then what we're going to use also, we've got some toasted, well, we're going to toast this. This is just desiccated coconut, okay? So a lot of the stuff, like, you know, if you have like nasi ulam, nasi kerabu in Malaysia, the sort of herbs that go into it will be a little bit different to what we have here, okay? We're just working with what we can get a hold of here locally. And on top of that, I've got some garlic and some onion here. We're going to mince all of this. But first of all, let's get started with the cauliflower, okay? So like I said, I've done this once or twice before, cauliflower fried rice. And so I'm not by any stretch a pro at this, but I know how to cook fried rice. And part of the reason why I tested making cauliflower fried rice a while back was because when I Googled cauliflower fried rice, because I, like a lot of people, have never like thought to eat anything else but rice, were like really curious, how can cauliflower be like rice? I had a look at other bloggers and whatever, what they did with what they called cauliflower fried rice. It looked more like cauliflower risotto, you know? So I thought, I'll show you how to do fried rice properly. And I was really impressed with how it turned out, right? So this is essentially my second or third time making it, okay? So this is what you've got here. And look, you know, when they say rice, okay, they're exaggerating a little bit, because it doesn't, like, you actually have to process this, and it doesn't come out like rice size bits, okay? It comes out like kind of almost like polenta size bits, but it's still good, okay? Here you go. So we're gonna cut these up into florets, okay? And then we're gonna fry this up. And this portion that we're making is going to be enough for like 2-3 people, okay? And we've had our nutritionist Kerry. Anything that you see Norman and me do, okay? Everything that we do is actually vetted by Kerry, okay? And she'll come back and give us her feedback and say, oh, I think there's too much salt in this, or I think there's too much fat in that. So you can be sure that whatever we do is legit, as in that we're not going to try and like pull one over Kerry about whether something is healthy, okay? So this is what I'm going to do, and you will get the recipe, by the way, if you're just watching this now. All the recipes, you actually have to sign up at seafoodrev.com to get a hold of it, okay? If you're in our Facebook group, we'll post it in the group. If you're not in the group, sign up there, or join the Facebook group, okay? So look us up at facebook.com/groups/seafoodrev, okay? And again, seafood has nothing to do with seafood, even though I love seafood. It's more that it stands for Southeast Asia, okay? Southeast Asian Food Revolution, okay? So we've got this. So we're going to likely pulse this into like little bits, right? Okay. So let me just get this away. And I'm trying to see how the camera is doing. Okay. Let's just cover this. And like I said, we're just going to blitz this quickly. All right, so just a couple of seconds. right? This is what it looks like now, okay? So somewhere in between rice and cauliflower. Hey, Eileen, how you doing? Great to see you. Salmon Bunga, please. That's why you need to move to Australia. Everybody needs to move to Australia, right? Australia, at this point, I don't want to like get ahead of myself, but we're doing really well with the COVID-19 thing. There's life is almost back to normal. There are certain restrictions about crowds and all that, but beyond that, we're doing really well. You know what? I should not be doing this because I still need to chop up all the herbs. Okay. So, like I said, bunga kantan. So these lettuce leaves, these are like mixed lettuce leaves, also from my herb garden. How about that? Not bad, right? Okay. So what we're going to do, like I said, all these herbs. I need someone to help me eat them, really, in all honesty. So if you live anywhere near my part of Sydney, hit me up if you want some herbs, okay? Esther, how you doing? From Malaysia, great to see you. Hey, Karen, how you doing? Okay, so we're going to, like I said, we're going to get the leaves from all these. So nasi kerabu, nasi ulam, whole grain, pick me to eat them. You know where to find me, Paul. Cauliflower is in your bedtime. I know, right? Glad you're awake to do this. Tell me about it. I blame Norman. Norman that's the thing about like this and about like some of my projects because our audience is global. So we have to actually accommodate global time zones, sort of thing. So sometimes you find me cooking at weird hours of the day and night. Okay, so a lot of these herbs are actually getting quite old in my garden. So the stems are quite tough. But yeah, nasi kerabu, nasi ulam in Malaysia. Hey, Hamima, how you doing? Now you can even destroy. I know it feels like it. I should do a little local run. Oh my goodness. Like I actually still had some semblance of a food business, a physical food production business before the lockdown. But when the lockdown kicked in, like my one last remaining weekly pop-up got cancelled or it got closed, and even though everything else is back to normal, this particular pop-up has not reopened, right? So I've been that's why you find me doing so many live streams at Masters of Malaysian Cuisine and all that sort of stuff, right? But I'm feeling the pressure from my customers that people are messaging me with helpful suggestions about where I can actually run my business. I'm saying, I think I'm quite comfortable doing live videos for the moment. And yeah, so people are saying, oh, we love your food. Can we order it and get you a delivery? So no, I can't. I don't particularly want to cook cook food for like 20 people or whatever. If it's 200 people, I'll do it, right? But 20 people is a little bit tough. All right, so we've got like all these mixed herbs. Like I said, some coriander, some Vietnamese herbs, some Thai herbs, some Malaysian herbs here, all mixed into together. And we're just going to just chop them up, okay? So let's have a go. And like I said, nasi kerabu, nasi ulam, in fact, wasn't actually something that I grew up eating, even though I grew up in Malaysia. I grew up down south, and I didn't have nasi ulam till I visited Penang, like many, many years later. And nasi kerabu, I didn't have it till I met someone who had I met someone in Kuala Lumpur who had a maid who was from Kelantan, which is where nasi kerabu is very popular, which is up in the northern part of Malaysia. And since then, I've visited Kelantan. The food in Kelantan is amazing, by the way, but very, very different. But nasi kerabu usually is served with a blue rice, right? But they also do have like a lot of herbs, and like nasi kerabu, usually they'll have like different kinds of like little side dishes that go with it, okay? Nasi ulam, again, lots of herbs, but nasi ulam is more like tossed into a salad form, okay? So usually you'll get like cold rice and you work in all these, and you work in some fish as well, some cooked fish, right? And you season it and you eat it cold, okay? So nasi ulam is like that. But then when I went to Kuala Lumpur one time and hung out in Kampung Baru, I love Kampong Baru, by the way. Like, if ever you go to Kuala Lumpur, right, and you want to break from all the glitzy, like high-end malls sort of thing, go and look up Kampong Baru. Kampong Baru literally means, hey, Marvin, how you doing? Kampong Baru literally means new village, okay? And what it is essentially is like an old Malay village. Well, kind of like, yeah, an oldish Malay village that's right smack in the center of Kuala Lumpur. And the lifestyle is a different pace, and like the buildings are different and all that, right? And the food is amazing, right? It's all very casual, very kind of like outdoor dining-y sort of thing, right? But if you want to taste of Malay culture, right in the middle of Kuala Lumpur, in the metropolis that is Kuala Lumpur, go and visit Kampong Baru, okay? So, I'm not going to chop up these. I'm going to chop up my bunga kantan, okay? So everybody's always asking about bunga kantan. And again, in all honesty, growing up in my part of Malaysia, down in Seremban, I never had any need for bunga kantan until I came to Australia and decided I wanted to actually master Malaysian cuisine, right? Once I did that, really opened my eyes to all these different like Malaysian recipes that I never actually grew up knowing, okay? So we're going to just chop this up. And obviously, again, like I said, use whatever you have on hand in your part of the world. If I hadn't had Mervyn actually sell this, okay, I would have left out the bunga kantan, okay, and it would have been okay without it, okay. And roast a lot of herbs will bring the best outcomes to it. Plus, bunga kantan will bring some spiciness to it. Yeah, right. So, and if you're in Australia, you can, especially if you're in Melbourne, you can actually, well, up to this point, you could actually potentially find bunga kantan frozen, okay? And I've done that before. Sydney ciders, for whatever reason, a lot of Malaysian ingredients end up in Melbourne first, and the leftovers come to us in Sydney, okay? So Sydney ciders, we're always struggling to find it. I, as someone who has who's in the industry and who has contacts among like other Malaysian restaurateurs, I could get a hold of them. But the average Sydney cider who was looking for bunga kantan in whatever form could not get a hold of it. Okay, so this is the first time I've been able to get not just frozen but actually fresh bunga kantan. So in that goes. And okay, we're pretty much ready. And I know like the Nasi Kerabu Goreng that I had in Kampong Baru, I don't think it had fried egg in it. Okay, it's been a couple of years now since I ate it, but we're going to throw a fried egg in it anyway. Okay, so we're just kind of making it up as we go. Okay, so let's turn this on. And like I said, this particular recipe has been vetted by Kerry. Okay, I might change things up a little bit, but not that much, okay? But she does actually calculate the calories, calculate the nutrients, and advise, what we need to cut down on and that sort of stuff. So it's been tweaked. Oh, you know what? I forgot to chop up the... Okay, let's just do this up here, okay? We forgot to chop up the onion and the garlic. Okay, I'm sure I have more garlic than that because I love my garlic. Where is it? What do I need? Okay, here we go. Okay, I've got 2 cloves of garlic, and we're just gonna quickly. And by the way, I'm using a thick, kind of like heavy base wok here. This is not my It's not my preferred choice of wok for cooking fried rice. Okay, but that's what we're using today because I don't want to potentially start the smoke alarm by bringing out my thin iron wok that needs to be cooked using a gas stove. Okay, I didn't want to get it all in Sydney, especially the fresh one. I can get fresh lemongrass. Yeah. You know what? I should have actually thrown in some lemongrass. Okay, but again, it's a little bit like whatever you've got on hand sort of thing. So I want to also not just make food taste great and be healthy, but also make it like fuss-free as well, in the sense that I don't want you to go trying like hunting high and low for the same herbs that I'm using, because the herbs that I'm using are like, not necessarily the same herbs they use in Malaysia either. Okay, so don't stress out too much. Just get a hold of whatever you can get in your part of the world. Okay, So, but yeah, typically fried rice, you want to use you got any kind of like fried stuff. You want a thin iron rod for frying, okay? Because you want the the heat transfer to be very efficient, and you want to be able to create that char, okay, in your stir fry, okay. But again, like I said, I'm using an electric stove here, and I keep finding things I need to chop up. Okay, here we go. Chili. Okay, let's just slice this up. And I'm just being a little bit of a cowboy here. Let me just put this on hold a little bit. Okay, just chop up the chili. And if you've got like, obviously, like I said, I'm using some leftover fish is technically what it is. If you want, you can use some canned tuna even, for this. Or if you want this vegan, just leave it out. Okay, so it's not a big deal at all. I don't have the best knife. This is just a cheap Asian grocery store vegetable knife. Hey, Adeline, watching from Singapore. Yay, great to see you, Adeline. Okay, here you go. So if you're just joining me, guys, so I've got garlic, onion, and chilies here. Okay, if you're just joining me, we're just going to do a fried, like herb rice sort of thing, but using cauliflower in lieu of rice. Okay, so we've got this heating up. Now, usually when you do fried rice, they'll tell you to heat up the oil and then throw in the garlic and sizzle it. Okay, a lot of the time I find, especially when I'm talking while I'm cooking, okay, you lose track of it. And the next thing you know, your garlic is getting burnt in the oil because it's getting too hot. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually just like fry up the cauliflower first. Okay, and then we'll add the garlic and the onion. Okay, because I really want the cauliflower to cook properly without getting soggy. Okay, so we're gonna be very, very like this is where Kerry comes into it. We're gonna be very careful about how much oil we put in. Okay, so this is only like a teaspoon so far. Okay, and there's a fair bit of I might not even need all this. That's a lot of, because I did the portion as for 2 people, but I said like half a cauliflower. But obviously cauliflowers all come in different sizes, and that's a pretty big one. Okay, so let's heat this up. And okay, I've got the seasoning back here. I like I said, my whole thing is to strike a balance between something that's good for you and something that actually tastes good. Okay, so some of the things that I use may not necessarily be like full on like health food store type ingredients. Okay, there'll be like stuff I use in my cooking, just a little bit more restrained in how I use it. Okay, let's. Okay. So like I said, you want to cook enough for 2 people because that's what Kerry has calibrated the recipe for. Okay. So this will be enough. So I've still got some left in here. Okay. You don't want to go too crazy. And I don't want to add too much oil or I'll get in trouble with Kerry. What we're allowing for essentially is 1 tablespoon of oil for these 2 portions. Okay. Hey Irene, great to have you tune in. And like I said, guys, if you are watching this outside of Seafood Rev, make sure you sign up at seafoodrev.com. Okay, we are actually working on a recipe compilation for people who sign up to our mailing list that that will consist of healthy recipes from Chef Norman Musa and myself. Okay. Okay, and like I said, one of my gripes, one of the things, every time I go back to Kota Baru, I have khao jam, a Thai version of Nasi Kerabu. The rice is green from juice extracted from leaves and herbs. Now that sounds intriguing. I might check that out. And Engkun mentions Thai version because actually Kelantan, our northernmost state in the peninsula of Malaysia, actually borders Thailand. So the food is actually influenced to some extent by Thai cuisine. And in fact, back in the day, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, or 1,000 years ago, maybe, I don't know. So don't hold me to this. Okay, I know for a fact that Kelantan actually used to be a protectorate of the Siamese kingdom. Okay. So things are a little bit different in Kelantan. You should go and pay it a visit. I really enjoyed my visit there. Okay, so we want to make sure with any kind of like fried rice, right, that you don't end up like with soggy rice. That's the main thing. You want to cook it so that it's actually aromatic, okay? So far, with 1 teaspoon of oil, it's coming along nicely. Let's throw in the garlic and the onion, okay? Okay, so that's the minced garlic. I like lots of garlic in my cooking, and onion. They're like my 2 favorite ingredients. If you're gonna ask me like what are my top like 5 ingredients in the pantry, like, you know, onion and garlic will have to be right up there. Then I'm cooking Malaysian food. Okay. So this is just browning up a little bit, which is great. At some point, we're going to add some flavors. And okay, let's throw in the shredded coconut. Okay, put it on the side and let it just start to toast a bit. Okay, usually you want to actually toast it like dry toast it till it's browned. Okay, so we just, because this pan has so little oil in it, we can toast it on the side here. Otherwise, you would want to actually just dry toast it, take it out, and then toss it back in. Okay. So Penang is known for nasi ulam, and well, of the herb rice stuff, right? Penang has nasi ulam, and Kelantan has nasi kerabu, and I'm sure other East Coast states in Malaysia have nasi kerabu of their own versions as well. But those are the 2 broad versions I've eaten, okay? So the coconut, the desiccated coconut. Hey, Lata, how you doing? The desiccated coconut actually is a little bit of a Penang twist, the nasi ulam twist, okay? So I like how it's just like nicely getting toasted up, yeah? And let's just add a little bit more oil. Okay, that's another like half teaspoon, okay? This portion is actually quite large, but the desiccated coconut actually is, I had to scale back the amount of desiccated coconut going into this, because per curry, that's a little bit like at the high end, okay? Because of the saturated fat content in the coconut. But reducing it from 3 tablespoons on my original recipe to 2 actually is actually fine, because like I cook by agak-agak, you know, which is in Malay is to guesstimate. So my cooking is like very, very much agak-agak. So I thought, 3 tablespoons, and then when she said no, you know, it needs to be. She didn't say no. She said, you know, I could try cutting it down. So I did, and actually it turns out fine. I think like it probably makes more sense to just have 2 tablespoons. Now this is going in, like I said, you know, this is one of my go-to seasonings. If you follow me on other platforms, you know, yeah, people joke about my addiction to chicken powder. There's no comment, no complaint from Kerry, so not everything is taboo, okay? But chicken powder, this particular brand at least, does contain a little bit of MSG, okay? But you know, you gotta live a little, guys. Okay, so we're gonna put like a teaspoon of chicken powder in here. Okay, and Enkun mentioned budu before. Budu is like a Kelantanese favorite as well, which is a fermented fish sauce. Okay, so if you know some Vietnamese fish sauce, budu is like like fish sauce on like steroids sort of thing. Okay, it's more pungent and it's beautiful. I do in fact have some budu. Contemplating putting that in too. Okay, so we've got all those in. We're gonna throw in the fish. Okay, like I said, this is actually Jackie, chicken powder. Shut up. Hey, Kerry thinks it's fine, so there you go. So this is actually the fish, like I said, left over from my steamed fish session in this group last week. Okay, so I actually shredded it, minced it in the food processor, and then just dry fried it. Okay, so this is how you actually stretch. I actually said 2 tablespoons of food. I said 60 grams of fish. And in fact, I'm using less than that. So we're good with the calories so far. We're ahead, guys. Okay, so in that goes. Let's toss it in. I want a bit of pepper. Okay. Okay, so some pepper. Pepper, I'm sure is good for you. No calories in pepper, guys. Also, I hope anyway. Okay, so pepper in here. Okay, let's taste test this a little bit and see how we're going here. Okay, it's very flavorsome. So the cauliflower is still crispy, but it's cooked through. Let's throw in the salad ingredients. There's actually quite a lot here. I don't think we need all of that. Okay. Let's toss this in. And it doesn't actually need the voodoo. But you know what? Voodoo is actually fermented, okay? I'm sure Carrie is okay with fermented food's good for you. Am I right, Norman? Fermented food is meant to be good for your gut. So we're going to throw in a little bit of voodoo in here. Okay, again, if you don't have it, leave it out. It wasn't in my original recipe. But I'm just going to put a tiny bit of it in here, okay? So this is what voodoo looks like, okay? I don't even know if you can get voodoo here in Australia yet. But I bought this from Kelantan, would you believe? I bought a whole batch of them from Kelantan. But yeah, if you ever go to Malaysia, you want something a little bit rustic, a little bit different, right? Check out Kelantan. It's like a different world over there. And the food is different. But if you don't make it to Kelantan, go to Kampung Baru because for reasons that may not be necessarily immediately obvious, a lot of the Malay restaurants in Kampung Baru are actually run by Kelantan people. So if you want to try Kelantan food without going to Kelantan, go to Kuala Lumpur's Kampung Baru, okay? I've got a tube in my fridge too, using sparingly. Yeah, I know, Ankun. I know the feeling, right? Maybe we should actually have a voodoo making session one of these days, make your own voodoo. Because it's basically fermented fish. I've seen how to make it, but okay, now I'm struggling to open this. Let's just punch a hole through this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you can see it. It's like a dark brown sauce, okay? So just a tiny little bit. We're talking like a drizzle, okay? Carrie here, fermented food is great for the gut. We should eat fermented. There you go. See, thank you, Carrie. Got it. Okay. You know what? I don't think it even needs the egg in here. But look, why not just throw it in since we had it down. Okay, let's just take this out. And we're going to separately fry the egg. So far we're ahead with the oil, okay? Now, frying the egg does actually, in all honesty, does need a bit of oil, okay? Otherwise it sticks, okay? But we're going to try and fry the egg. So remember, we were going with 1 tablespoon of oil for 2 portions of fried rice here, okay? And so far we've used half a tablespoon, and there's 3/4 of a tablespoon here that I've just added. No, it needs a little bit more. Okay. In fact, it's not even that. So, okay, here you go. Here we go. Okay, so I'm putting the oil away so I don't get in trouble for using any more. Okay, let's turn the stove back on. There you go. Let's bring it up to temperature. We're going to fry the egg and we're going to toss it through the fried Nasi Kerabu, okay? With cauliflower. But like I said, I think it's actually fine without it, I just want to make it a little bit more substantial. Okay, let's throw this in. Now, Kerry did point out, right, if you were to use canned fish, okay, canned tuna, it doesn't have the same nutrients as like using fresh fish, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. But, so in other words, use fresh fish if you can, but otherwise canned fish, the recipe, the nutrients breakdown will actually be based on using canned tuna. So if you use fresh fish, it'll be even healthier for you, okay? So we've got the egg frying up. It's not sticking. It's doing beautifully. Okay, so that's the other thing you want to, like, part of the appeal of having someone like Kerry on board. She does challenge us to rethink, to rework our recipes to fit into that framework that Norman and I have developed along with Kerry, right? Because sometimes, it's kind of like is voodoo the same as fish sauce? It's like a fish sauce on steroids, Irene. It's like a lot more pungent and a lot more strong flavored. Okay, so the eggs just like this, okay? Because it's kind of like, the proverbial, what do you call it? Frog in like boiling water sort of thing. Like you don't realize it sometimes when you cook stuff, and I'm totally guilty of it, okay? Because my focus all these years have been all about flavor. It's like, oh, more sugar, more salt, more everything, more oil, to bring out the flavor. Because my whole drive was to actually recreate food the way I remember it from my childhood, right? But near total disregard for like the health food, the health implications of it. But working with Kerry and Norman have really challenged the way I see things. And then you think, okay, instead of 2 tablespoons of oil, which was what I originally specified in here, I could get away with just 1 tablespoon, and it still turns out fine, right? Because so that's a great way for you to actually reassess how you approach your cooking, so that it's actually all, all healthy and stuff. Okay, so this is it. This is done. Let's just put this out. And what we're going to do, we're going to serve it up on a plate of with my healthy lettuce, which unfortunately I forgot to add. But look, I did say herbs, okay, in general. So lettuce can count as herbs, right? Let me just get a quick plate, and then we'll plate this up. Okay, here we go. So, okay. Again, lettuce from my garden. How awesome is that? Seriously, I used to, whatever the opposite of green thumb is, I'm just going to sprinkle some fresh chilies over here. Whatever the opposite of green thumb is, I used to call myself that, okay? I say there's a word for the opposite of green thumb. That's me, because I could never, grow anything and have it actually survive past the first week or something. So I was quite impressed. I was able to get all these herbs to thrive in my garden, right? So, and you know what? Even just 1 egg is enough, because originally I wanted to use 2 eggs. And I told Kerry, look, if it's too much, let's just stick with 1. Okay, this is a very big portion. Okay. And there you go. So that's my Nasi Kerabu, right? And it's healthy. And it's loose and fluffy, okay? So the trick with cooking any kind of fried rice or whatever, but like I said, part of the first time I experimented with cauliflower fried rice was I was wondering why everyone's pictures of fried rice look like really sad, like risotto and porridge or something like that, Is there something about cauliflower that makes it gluggy when you fry it up? I tried it and it turned out fine, and I tasted it and it tasted delicious. So this is my new tweak on it, which is cooking it up with fresh herbs and with some fish, some shredded fish. It tastes fantastic. Does not need any more oil or salt or anything like that. And I'm going to take a photo and post the recipe. All the graphic design work is all credit to Norman Musa, by the way. I've got zero graphic abilities. So Norman is going to use my recipe and then format it into a beautiful PDF for you guys to download. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. This is our Nasi Kerabu with cauliflower. And you know what? Each portion is only 270 calories. Okay. How many meals can you get for 270 calories nowadays? Okay. So have a go at making this and let me know how it turns out. And again, like I said, thank you, Adeline. If you haven't already, join our seafood revolution at facebook.com/groups/seafoodrev and sign up at seafoodrev.com. When our ebook of recipes is ready, you'll get a copy of it. Everyone who signs up to our mailing list will get a copy of it there as well. Okay, but join our Facebook group and engage with her. Kerry has some fantastic advice about all these different like nutrition related questions. Like, is coconut milk good for you? Is like, what oil should you use and all that? If you always wondered about that within the context of Southeast Asian cooking, you absolutely must join our group. Okay. Thanks again so much, guys. Don't forget, Kerry is coming up this Thursday, and she will be holding another roundtable to talk about another topic to do with health and looking good and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, Chef Norman Musa will be back on Friday as well. So we're all on at this particular time slot, but we do have everything recorded. So if you miss it live, make sure you check the replays as well. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you. I will see you in the group. Okay. And also, actually, I'm cooking again tomorrow for Masters of Malaysian Cuisine. So I'll see you over there as well. Okay. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you later.